We are not going in there. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 creepiest abandoned theme parks. For this list, we're ranking the most disturbing ruins of once popular amusement or theme parks from around the world that have been abandoned and left in disarray. Number 10. Spreepark, Germany. Debt is a big reason behind the closure of many amusement parks, with the first entry on our list being no exception. Spreepark thrived in former East Germany both before and after the fall of the Berlin Wall, only to face insurmountable financial woes during the turn of the millennium. The park's new owners couldn't keep Spreepark afloat after 2002, with many of the rides, including a giant Ferris wheel, rusting away on park grounds. What's worse, the park's recent owner, Norbert, was later jailed for attempted drug smuggling within one of the rides, effectively ending any hopes of Spreepark being in business. Number 9. Blobbyland, England.
There's great excitement today as we await the arrival of the most famous jet-setter of the age. Here comes his car now.
Non-English viewers can be forgiven for being ignorant of Mr. Blobby, a breakout star from the hit 90s BBC variety series Noel's House Party. In an attempt to capitalize on his popularity, this monosyllabic blob opened his own group of theme parks, which were based upon his fictional hometown of Crinkley Bottom.
Come and see us at Crinkley Bottom at Cricket St Thomas near Chard in Somerset. It's Britain's first TV theme park.
As with most things associated with a fad, these parks did not last long. Although their colorful remains still stand for explorers desperate for a little bit of blobby nostalgia. The once colorful buildings are now faded, dirty, and beyond repair. They stand as a creepy reminder of that brief moment in time when Blobbyland was actually a thing.
And I actually think that Crinkley Bottom at Cricket St Thomas will outlive House Party. It will probably outlive Noel Edmonds.
Number 8. Dogpatch, USA, Arkansas. Raise your hand if you remember Lil Abner. Although it's true that Al Cap's hillbilly comic strip was once incredibly popular, the idea to build an entire theme park around its fictional town Dogpatch just doesn't seem very logical from an economic perspective. Perhaps this is why Dogpatch USA didn't make it in the Marble Falls area of Arkansas, although vestiges of its former southern glory still remain. The confusing stories behind Dogpatch's ownership and operation would take days to cover. But in short, the park was essentially mismanaged to hell despite initially achieving success thanks to public interest in shows like Green Acres and the Beverly Hillbillies. Unfortunately, nothing lasts forever, and Dogpatch USA closed for good in 1993.
Dogpatch USA. Many of you might have some fond memories of Arkansas's old theme park, but in the 21 years since it closed, much of what you might have loved has been abandoned, overgrown, or even destroyed.
Number 7. Gulliver's Kingdom, Japan. Where should we start when it comes to the creep factor of Gulliver's Kingdom? First off, this abandoned theme park is located in close proximity to Japan's famous suicide forest of Aokigahara. Second, the giant-sized model of the park's Gulliver namesake lies at the center, with a 1,000-yard stare that practically begs visitors to run away in terror. To make matters worse, Gulliver's Kingdom wasn't far from where Japan's infamous doomsday cult, Om Shinrikyo, held its headquarters. Is it any wonder why no one wanted to take a trip to this park for a day full of fun and frolicking? Today, Gulliver's Kingdom reminds us about the importance of these 3 famous real estate rules: location, location, location.
How are we to believe anything you say, Gulliver?
Because my word is my bond. This time, for real.
Number 6. Discovery Island and River Country, Walt Disney World, Florida. Those in charge of Walt Disney World wouldn't just let things rot now, would they? Well, they did just that with River Country and Discovery Island. River Country was once a water park that experienced a number of deaths before being closed down for good in 2001.
River Country, big river country, it's a hoot, it's a holler, it's a water jamboree.
Overrun with vegetation, it was eventually demolished in April of 2019. Although Discovery Island, a space where Disney World visitors could observe wildlife, still stands, it is officially off-limits to visitors.
I just can't believe that we build these amazing things and then we just forget about them.
However, that hasn't stopped some from sneaking in and taking pictures, documenting how much of Discovery's animal facilities still exist, peppered with cages, coolers, incubators, and decayed remains.
Preserved snakes in jars, even employee pictures, left behind after Discovery Island shut down in 1999.
Number 5. Western Village, Japan. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as exemplified by the next abandoned theme park on our list, Japan's Western Village. This frontier-themed park has been buried by time and dust for years, although some find this aspect more calming and thoughtful than scary. Then again, the fact that much of the park's Wild West saloons and stands still exist, including some mannequins, could give others pause should they prowl around Western Village at night. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not you see a once bustling theme park or a haunted ghost town. Number 4. Parque Abenwell, Brazil. Do you find Santa, well, creepy?
Got something for me?
How about a village full of empty-eyed St. Nics, all there to wish you a very scary Christmas? If so, then perhaps it's best you avoid Brazil's Parque Abenwell at all costs. The semi-finished theme park wasn't completely indebted to Christmas, but it did possess a Santa section that was patterned in part after its creator, Antonio Albano Reis. Unfortunately, Reis died in a car accident before the park could ever be finished, resulting in most of the rides and attractions being either abandoned or forgotten. Today, the area is overrun by vegetation and decay, and is a sad reminder of what could have been. Number 3. Six Flags, New Orleans. Nothing can stand in the way of Mother Nature, especially not a theme park. Case in point, Six Flags New Orleans, which was completely devastated by Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
Six Flags New Orleans, it's playtime.
The water and wind damage was so severe that the park was unable to reopen and remained frozen in time, with its welcome sign still indicating that the park is closed for storm. Today, Six Flags New Orleans defies demolition with its graffiti-ridden stands, broken rides, and moldy walls, while alligators have even taken to prowling the park's deeper areas.
You talk about snakes, alligators, hogs, and of course you have insects, mosquitoes.
Although the area has been used for some movie shoots over the years, don't expect this park to reopen to the public anytime soon. Number 2. Pripyat Amusement Park, Ukraine. There's no one to blame but ourselves for the downfall of this theme park. The Pripyat Amusement Park wasn't abandoned due to weather, debt, or mismanagement, but instead the infamous Chernobyl disaster of April 26, 1986.
The chain of disaster is now complete.
The park grand opening was actually scheduled for the first day of May, and there were reports and photographic evidence that indicate that Pripyat Park did open a day after the disaster, perhaps to help locals cope with the tragedy. Today, the park remains abandoned, with high levels of radiation present in the moss and surrounding soil. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
I mean, I can remember this castle. Look at it now. It's funny, really. It's very nostalgic, but it's like a double-edged sword. Like, one side is happy memories, and the other side is this feeling of mourning.
Number 1. Dunaújváros Vidám Park, Hungary. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 meant many different things for generations of people. It also signified the end for Dunaújváros Vidám Park in Hungary, which opened way back in the 1950s. The park was state-run and even offered free entry to its citizens, but closed its doors only 2 years after the USSR was dissolved. Today, its rides are rusted and broken, with vegetation having infested nearly every aspect of the park. Meanwhile, modern photographs still show communist slogans and propaganda painted on the walls of what remains of Dunaújváros Vidám Park. The ghosts of history preserved for all to see. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.